Hello, I'm Billy, and this is the Unlock Your Child's Full Potential podcast, where we discuss how to give our children a head start in life and teach them some basic principles of success that will serve them well in adult life. This podcast is about the lessons that are often not taught in school, and it's up to us as parents to shine the light and coach our kiddos. Things like building their confidence, developing integrity, and a strong work ethic, shaping a worldview. It will also be about cultivating emotional intelligence skills, money mindset, personal growth habits, to name a few. I'm a mom of 3 young girls, and my mission is to raise them to be good humans, happy and fulfilled adults. Join me on my quest to learn more ways to parent with intent and raise thriving kids. I'm here to create a space where you feel supported and inspired to bring these lessons into your home and try them out. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, this week I'm tuning in solo and sharing my thoughts on the topic of helping our kids manage their emotional state. Resetting our emotional state can be a helpful practice for managing stress, anxiety, and other challenging emotions. And the earlier our kids acquire this skill, the better. Just the other day, I had a chance to practice coaching my daughter how to change her state. Right after waking up, Laura was so moody. She's 9 now, and I guess as she gets older, such days will become more frequent. So after breakfast, she went back to her room and she slept for an hour. Then kept lying there and feeling sorry for herself. She was so disappointed that we had no big plans for the day, while her sisters, being with their grandparents, might be doing something interesting while she's bored at home. I checked on her a few times. She said she's going to stay in bed the whole day, and she doesn't want to speak to her father and me. In an attempt to cheer her up, her dad brought a snack in her room, which she returned with a mean note that she hates the snack and we're not going to make her eat it. I had to find a way to change her state because the longer she stayed in it, the worse it got, and she wasn't able or willing to do something about it herself. My first thought was getting her out in the park. Movement and fresh air always cheers me up, and it was a lovely sunny day. But she didn't want to. So instead of making her do it, I decided to distract her from her gloomy thoughts by suggesting she watches an episode of Friends. I don't know about you guys, but no matter how many times I watch the series and how well I know the lines, it always makes me laugh. And yet I don't want her watching TV the whole day. That day, it was just the 3 of us at home. Her sisters were out with her grandparents. So I had a vision of having a pleasant one-on-one time with her, some bonding time, some girl-to-girl conversations. It was nothing like that, and half the day had already gone by. Laura agreed to come to the living room to watch Friends, and I'm like, here's a tuna salad, eat it while you watch. That was a big win. She's got some food in her belly, and that will make her feel better too. When the episode ended, she was willing to go out for a walk with me. And then 10 minutes into the walk, she was finally herself, and we could enjoy each other's company. We ended up spending 3 wonderful hours in the park, and her mood was great the whole evening after that. I share this story to illustrate a point. Younger children and even adults sometimes have trouble managing their emotions and getting out of a negative state. Sometimes they need a little help getting out of the gloom. We can support them, and we can also coach them how to do it themselves. While Laura and I were out and walking, by the way, I found this the best time to coach her, I talked about how we need to have tools to take care of ourselves when we feel down. That it's not good to just lay in bed and sink deeper in a depressed state. If you're tired, take a nap. Then get up, get your body moving, get your mind distracted by either reading a book, watching something funny, or listening to music. Just know what suits you, what makes you feel better. And nature always works wonders in that regard. Fortunately, we live near a park, so going for a walk there, looking at the trees, and listening to bird songs is easy to do. And yet, she should have more than one tool in her toolbox So if for whatever reason going out is not resetting her state this time, there is something else to try. When coaching our kiddos about emotional state, I think it's important to teach awareness first. We can encourage them to identify and label their feelings, to understand their triggers. It's important to emphasize that it's okay to feel sad, angry, or frustrated at times, and explain that emotions are temporary and changeable, and it's up to us to change them. Then we introduce some coping strategies that kids can use to change their emotional state. You can suggest deep breathing exercises, engaging in a physical activity, listening to music, journaling, calling a trusted friend, or engaging in a favorite hobby. I think it's best to encourage children to try different techniques so they can find what works best for them. If the same negative thoughts keep popping up regularly, maybe it's time to coach your child to identify them and challenge them, and then to replace these negative thoughts with more realistic and positive ones. This one I think is a bigger topic and is worth its own episode, so I'm not going deeper now, but I'm throwing it out there because our kids' emotional state is very much correlated with their beliefs about themselves. What would also be very helpful when teaching our kiddos to reset their state is demonstrating healthy emotional regulation ourselves. When you face challenging emotions, openly discuss how you manage them. Do your breathing in front of your child. Tell them why you need to stop and take a minute. This way they can observe and learn effective coping mechanisms from you. I want to emphasize that it's important to avoid staying too long in a negative emotional state. Tony Robbins talks about the emotional home, the state we are used to living in, the habitual emotions you go back to. Your emotional home could be either positive or negative. It's called home because it's where you feel most comfortable residing, and you find a way to go back home using whatever in your environment you can use, because you're used to feeling that way. Maybe the home you're used to is not a happy home. Maybe it's a home of worry, a home of frustration, anger, of everything is unjust. But you should know that the quality of our lives is the quality of our habitual emotions. Wouldn't it be nice to upgrade your emotional home? What if the vast majority of emotions you have were joy, gratitude, love and appreciation, passion, playfulness? What would it feel like if you were in those states every day, 99% of the time, and when you weren't, you got out of it quickly? Negative feelings are useful. They show us something needs to change, but we don't need to hang on to them and find other things to be negative about. Let's live in a beautiful state, and let's teach our kids how to take less and less time to snap out of the negative ones. Pain is sometimes part of life, but suffering is a choice. Too often, the lessons we want to teach our kids are the lessons we want and need to learn ourselves. So these are all self-improvement practices to put into practice yourself, because our most important and most fulfilling task is to grow as a person, and it's a never-ending process. Tony Robbins has a 15-minute priming exercise he uses to start each day in a good state of mind, which will help him to stay in the right frequency throughout the day. If you're interested, I have a link to the YouTube video in the show notes. The priming exercise is for us, the parents, but kids would also greatly benefit from having a practice in the morning that lifts their spirits and sets them up for the day. I know from personal experience how busy mornings can be, how moody kids can wake up, and how slowly everything gets done when we are already running late. And yet, even the busiest of us can wake up a few minutes earlier and do something small, like a high five in the mirror or an empowering statement that they say to themselves, so they can start their day on a positive note. As a last note, I would like to tell you about a free resource I created. It's called the Connection Blueprint, and it consists of 5 tools that will help you improve your relationship with your child and create an environment where your kid feels seen, heard, and loved. After all the lessons we want to teach our kids require us to have a trusting relationship with them so that they are ready to hear our advice and lean on our support. Anytime I feel disconnected and out of sync with my own children, I go back to this blueprint, put the tools to practice, and it works wonders. I'm sure having a loving and trusting relationship with your kid is a top priority for you too. So check the show notes and get your copy of the Connection Blueprint now. Thank you so much for listening and letting me be a part of your day. If you enjoyed this episode or the show in general, please share it with a friend and help me reach more moms around the world. I would also appreciate it if you consider leaving me a review. Reviews are literally the lifeblood of a podcaster and help me so much. Don't forget to subscribe so you get notified when a new episode drops. See you next week.